Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to be here in Oulu and very honored to be part of this Global Forum panel. Actually, the graphical part on the right-hand side on the top is not the Global Forum one, it's the Systemics one. And maybe it's not a coincidence that it's very similar. So I think we have a good connections with Global Forum with our first participation this year. And again, innovation, I've changed job since I sent my presentation. So I'm now in charge of development and international position of this research institute. Smart territories is this kind of new buzzwords that are appearing now. We could define that as a digitalization of territories. Territories could be a city. We talk a lot about smart cities, but also a region, a country, a continent, maybe the whole world. Why not? So this is what we put in smart territory. So why smart territory? Why digitalize those territories? Actually, I like to present three main goals, three main values we want to bring to those territories. Sustainability, of course, it's about resources management, but not only. It's the way that a territory can live a long time and develop itself very smoothly. So digitalization can help that. More security, of course. Security is one of the major needs of people living in a territory. I think in parallel we have a session on cybersecurity, which is part of it, but not all of it. Security is security against natural disasters also, of course, and digitalization can help on that. And attractiveness, because we are now in a small world, and every territory is competing with the other, not fiercely, but to attract people, to attract talent, and smart territories I aim for that too. So then we have little words: smart city, smart water, smart mobility, and stuff like that. So those are you find here some of the questions that have been asked to us by our partners who work with us in SystemX Research Institute, which are large companies, small companies, or civil entities such as transport operators or energy operators or communities. So you can see that those are quite complex questions about these smart territories, which is really a digital complex system. That is what we call the complex system, which is very difficult to manage as a whole. It's a set of different systems. So usually we talk about systems of systems, and it's where you need a very holistic approach, which have been talked about this morning, which you have to have different ways of apprehending the complexity and trying to solve some of those issues with digital technologies and some kind of new innovation paradigm I would like to share with you. So it's quite an open field of questions, and the idea is with innovation, how can we solve that the most efficient way? So I would here put and share with you some words that I've put that, to our point of view, are really needed to go in a new way of innovation. So I will mention the innovation 2.0 mentioned by Broer, and looking at the different criteria, I would say that for smart territories, I think we need to go to Open Innovation 2.0. So a first comment on those. Speed is really important because time is a really important resource for everyone. And when we talk about innovation, we talk also about competition. If we look at the attractiveness factor for territories, a territory that has the ability to go faster than the other will win. I mean, and this is very important. So it has to apply also to the process of presenting new values, new functions for a territory. So I think innovations must be associated with speed and acceleration. On the top, we have put a word that have been mentioned a lot today so far, is interdisciplinarity. It means that we strongly think that we need to associate different types of approaches. I will give some examples, but we have talked about mathematical approaches, engineering, but also what we see in French, we say soft science or social and human sciences like sociology, psychology, all about the human factor that was mentioned before. For smart territories and even for all those fields, but especially for smart territories, this approach seems to be quite efficient and necessary to innovate in those fields. Cross sectors mean that different economical sectors should work together. In our research institute, we have different sectors such as the train industries, the aerospace industry, the energy industries, working together on the same subjects because they share the same kind of challenges and they want to share subjects. And even in some approaches, some projects, we have competitors working together. So that is the competitive collaboration approach that was mentioned by Michael, which I personally see working now in what we do for companies. So since digitalization is really transverse, different sectors should share the challenges they have, the ideas they have, the innovation they have in mind, and to take opportunity. And then they compete in the other phases of the service development, of their business development, of course. What important is also is the association of different type of private entities. Let's speak about very large companies working with very small startups. You see a lot of large companies having their own incubators or doing challenges for big data challenges or challenges for startups. This is an example showing that this is a way for innovation to come in a new paradigm in this kind of field. And smart territories are a very good field to do that, to work on data and try to find new things. Sometimes you have disruptions, you have startup just going alone, but always not always is this case. Sometimes a startup will work with a large company and try to help it, and startups need also to work with them. Just looking at the time. And I would just mention the last one, which is which could be quite strange, but is a mixing of academic and industrial research. Because academic works mainly on science, but science then leads to new technologies or new approaches that then should be applied. And sometimes it's very difficult to fill this gap. And a way of having a new innovation process is to try to fill this gap by having those people work together in the same place. So this is the last one, the co-location work. That is what we do in System X and in a lot of institutes now in France. But I know it's done also in the Fraunhofer Institutes in Germany, in Catapult in UK, and all over the world, to make people work in a physical place. So it could be strange in this virtual world, but it seems to be very, very efficient. So to end, just to mention that System X is one of the French institutes of technologies that were created 3 years ago with the initiative of the private sector and the French government. We are System X situated in the Paris-Saclay Innovation Cluster, so our innovation ecosystem, and we are part of this academic ecosystem with the Université Paris-Saclay, and this on the right-hand side you see a ecosystem of companies working on these digital systems and digital complex systems. Just to finish my presentation, I will just give you an example of one research project we are running on multimodal transport. that was talked about, multimodal mobility, new mobility. Just to give you an example, this project, we have a car manufacturer, we have a train manufacturer, we have a train operator, we have startups, we have academic researchers on mathematics and operational research, but also academic research on psychology, on behavioral psychology, to better understand the behavior of people in the very dense areas on a multimodal way of moving around. And they're just working together, and we gather, and they gather data on the field from people. So it's a good example of this kind of new open innovation 2.0 that was mentioned by Ron. Thank you very much for your attention.